Through my research conducted into the horror teaser trailer genre, I learned a lot of the conventions that are expected to be seen within the genre as well as the media type, a teaser trailer, such as specific themes, characters, narrative, structure, props, costumes, camera work, editing, and iconography. The first way in which I followed the conventions of a real media product was through the use of camera work. Through my research of teaser trailers, the one aspect I wanted to portray in my own was the use of camera work seen within a horror teaser trailer, as they are unique in genre compared to other teaser trailers. The camera work varied from long shots to close-ups and point-of-view shaky shots, and I wanted to use this within my own media product. I chose the point-of-view shot of myself using the camera as my own. I made it so that I was seen picking up the camera and the beginning of the shot was slightly out of focus, and I shaked a lot to include the feeling of fear which my character was feeling at the time. This shot enabled my media product to be conventional, as a lot of horrors use a point-of-view shot to follow an individual character's story and create verisimilitude so that the horrors seem to be more believable. This shot was also a close-up shot, which is conventional for horror teaser trailer. Close-ups are used a lot, as I found out through my research, as it allows the audience to see the character feelings more clearly, and it also makes the frame a lot more fuller, allowing for jump scares. To make this clearly a horror, I had to incorporate a close-up shot. Through my audience research, they commented on the point-of-view shot of myself and mentioned how they recognised this within other horror films, and therefore showing it as a recognisable convention. This is supported by Chandler's theory, where conventions belong to certain media texts, and I feel like close-ups and point-of-view shots belong to the horror genre and are recognised by my audience feedback as a conventional shot of the horror genre. By including conventional shots such as a close-up and point-of-view shot, allowed my audience to recognise that it belonged within the horror genre and allowed to use conventions of a real media product. This leads on to the use of editing through my media product to enable it to use the conventions of a real media product. The editing within a horror teaser trailer, which I found out through research, consists of very short scenes, montage-like scenes, lack of a narrative, jump scares, and a final scene at the end after the titles are over. This meant that I wanted my scenes to be fast and quick, so to create a heightened sense of tension throughout my teaser trailer, just like real media products do. I noticed that most teaser trailers begin with a slow beginning that builds up into short and quick scenes, and so incorporated this within my editing, where I had longer scenes at the beginning to explain part of the narrative, and then it built up to short and quick flashes of scenes. I even included the edit of speeding up my last scenes, as I really wanted them to be flashes of a scene. Throughout my editing, I wanted to create a sense of mystery, so I made there be a lot of shots that didn't follow a linear narrative structure. Most teaser trailers don't follow this structure, so again, I made sure this was shown in editing. This is supported by my audience feedback, as they stated that they liked the lack of narrative within my teaser trailer, and this made them want to watch it more. This shows that my editing of short scenes enabled me to produce a media product that was conventional. This is supported by the narrative structure of Barthis, who I looked at within my research, and stated that this is the narrative structure that relates to my media product the most. His theory of the Enigma Code states that texts show a sense of mystery to attract the audience and make them anticipate through presenting them with questions. I feel I'd done this through the lack of explanation in my short scenes and leaving scenes going blurry, such as the one in the woods before the reality title, and the scene right after the titles of me shouting no and the camera being all blurry and shaky. I also used editing to create the record sign on the point of view shots mentioned before. This was to enhance these shots further and create a more realistic feel to the shot, to show that the character was clearly using a camera without having to include a scene beforehand of her using it. Through my research again, this point of view camera shot is conventional. For example, it was seen within the trailer for the Cabin of the Woods, where we can see that it's clearly a point of view shot. So I believe this editing techniques enhance the scenes further. Again, this is supported by my audience feedback, where they stated that the editing of the record sign was visually pleasing, although they did comment that more features such as the battery sign could have been included to make it look more professional. I agree with this feedback and believe that to make this edit more conventional of a real media genre, I should try and include a more realistic record sign. I feel like overall my editing supported the conventions of a horror teaser trailer, and I used them to create a product that was conventional of a real media product. The next aspect I feel I've used, which is conventional of a horror teaser trailer, was the use of titles. Throughout my research, titles were something I really focused on, as they were the main supporter of the clips and allow or restrict certain information. This means that I had to get the titles to complement what was going on within the scenes. Through my research, I found that within horror, titles were simplistic. The text were normally white, and the main title was normally black or red. The background was very dark and not really that noticeable. The titles mentioned the directors, creators of other horrors, so I felt that I should mention a creator's title to attract a similar audience. Titles, which were sentences, were sometimes chopped up and placed between scenes, and I thought this was a technique that I wanted to use within my own. I decided to keep my titles plain and simple, just like the other teaser trailers. I decided to have a moving clouded background with plain white bold text, and I felt this followed a real media product well. I then decided to have the film title in red, as horrors and the colour red have connotations of blood, and I saw red titles used a lot within teaser trailers. I then went on to chop up my title, which was Curiosity Will Kill You, and I felt this made it look more like a realistic trailer. I then lastly created my coming soon title, which has a month and year and not an actual date, as teaser trailers do not state the date of their films. I then added in social media logos, as through my research I saw that up-to-date teaser trailers incorporated a lot of social media to reach a widespread audience. My audience feedback did comment on my titles and stated they liked my age restriction title at the start, as all teaser trailers have this, but they thought the production company title could have been improved to create a more realistic feel to the teaser trailer. I feel altogether I've created titles that enhance my teaser trailer further and fit in with the horror genre well and enhance conventions of a real media product. The next way I developed the conventions of a real media product is through the use of characters. I created characters that enable me to adapt them to our chosen target audience. We first decided to have the main character as Alice, who was the crazy sister who had an issue with committing horrific acts in her sleep, which became real. We thought the development of this character was restricted because audience members would have been restricted on how much they could relate to this character, and we had to consider the ethical response to showing someone who had a problem in a negative way. This resulted in us changing the main character to myself, as we could develop this character further and enable our audience to feel relatable to the character in some way. We could develop the story through the character and see herself as the outside of the problems along with the audience, which enabled a stronger connection. Through my research, I found a lot of main characters were not the ones who had the problem or issue, rather a family member or friends would follow the story with the audience. I felt that I had developed these conventions within my own teaser trailer, as the main character is a concerned sister that follows the conventions of someone close, being able to capture the moment for the audience. This also enabled us to develop the storyline, as the main character done a voiceover at the beginning explaining the issues with her sister, and this enabled us to have a clear storyline as well without having to show a lot or give a lot away. Voiceovers are a conventional way to tell part of the narrative in teaser trailers, so I thought I would incorporate this to make it more conventional to a real media product. Through my audience feedback, they commented on how the main character seems normal and therefore would have a clear connection between audience and the character, especially those that have sisters. Another way I developed the conventions of a teaser trailer was through the use of props and location. Through my research into props, I found that a lot of new media uses a lot of technology within their teaser trailers and keep it very up to date and realistic to the time as they can, depending on narrative. I saw that a lot of computers, phones and cameras have been used throughout the teaser trailers as forms of communications or to further the plot. I felt that to keep things relevant with the times, I would develop this convention further. I used a laptop at the beginning and used Skype to video chat with the doctor. This enabled me to show distance between the two characters without having to make it clear. I then used a camera to film the main character in the point of view shots. I added the record sign to show that a camera was being used, and finally I showed the phone, which was an iPhone, on the character Rebecca, which displayed up-to-date technology. I felt this was consistent with the types of props seen within horrors and wanted to develop this within my own teaser trailer, but incorporating a lot of new media technology. Furthermore, through my research, props such as blood and knives were seen within teaser trailers, although they were not used a lot. I developed this by having quick flashes of a knife and having blood dripping from a door handle and on my hand. I did use a lot more blood clips than conventionally seen within horrors, but I wanted the prop to be clear to my audience that they would recognise the genre. Within my audience feedback, it was stated, when asked about the genre and why they think so, that blood is always seen within horrors, so I think I fulfilled these expectations. This follows into locations. I chose the two locations to be my house and the woods. woods. Through my research, I found that majority and nearly all horrors featured a woods or someone's house within it, and I felt these two locations would have been most appropriate for my teaser trailer, as they would be recognisable locations for a horror. This is supported by Altman's theory, where he mentions semantic elements define a genre of a movie. So conventionally, the use of blood, woods, a house, knives are all semantic elements that are able to define the horror genre. I feel like I have developed the use of the locations and props that fit in my narrative and have adjusted them so that they can be represented as a real media product. I feel like I have challenged some aspects of a teaser trailer, as I believe that even though some conventions have to be included for it to be recognisable, it also needs to feature aspects of a teaser trailer which is different, which is supported by Neil's theory of repetition and difference, which states that audiences still need to recognise features for them to understand the genre, but need to be entertained by the differences. The first aspect I challenged was the lack of the main character. By this, I mean the focus of the storyline is on the character that is only shown within a photograph and seen within the montage of clips at the end. Apart from these short clips, the character is not seen and only mentioned, yet to show how the story is based on the character, we don't see her. I think this does really challenge the conventions of a teaser trailer, as even though it is meant to tease the audience, it does show more of the main character and does include the characters within the narrative more. I thought I would challenge this convention, as I really wanted the character of Alice to be a mystery to the audience as well as the main character that was followed within the teaser trailer, which was Rebecca. I didn't want the audience to foreshadow the narrative before the main character did. I wanted it to be a journey, which they both followed through the film, and the audience will find out things at the same time as the main character Rebecca does. The narrative is again slightly unconventional, as a lot of films rely on foreshadowing for the audience, so they feel they are ahead of the characters. I felt within the teaser trailer I wanted a lack of narrative and main character involvement, that being Alice, to be created as a sense of mystery and a non-linear feeling to the narrative, and for the audience to want to know more about the main character. I felt that the lack of the main character was an element of difference in my teaser trailer and stood out to the audience. As within my audience feedback, they stated they did feel confused with the narrative and they wanted to see what was actually wrong with the character, and they felt they never really were told straight. Even though this confusion is an issue concerning the main character, could be as a negative thing, I feel this achieved my purpose of challenging an aspect of conventional teaser trailers by leaving out important details as to persuade them to watch the film. I feel like challenging this convention of the involvement of the main character was beneficial for my teaser trailer, as it allowed there to be a build-up of suspense and mystery. Another aspect of the horror genre that I challenged was the use of costumes. Through my research into horror teaser trailers, the clothing which the characters wore were very dark and not very attractive for the character. I challenged this by making the main character Becca wear floral bright pyjama bottoms in some of the scenes. I really wanted to create a natural environment and character, so I believe that although it would have been conventional to dress her in all black and to connote the theme and style of genre, that the bright floral bottoms and a white top would show that she led a normal life beforehand. I wanted the normality of the character to juxtapose with the sister Alice, who is seen later within the teaser trailer, was wearing red pyjama bottoms and a black top, the black top connoting the horror and darkness of the film, and the bottoms representing the blood and gore connoted with horror films. I completely made the outfits a binary opposite, supported by Strauss, who creates the idea that one thing needs to be opposite to make it clear that they are opposites. I felt like the choice of clothing here is a binary opposite, as without dressing Rebecca in light and bright clothes, the black and red clothes Alice would have not been noticed as such a difference. This difference was pointed out through my audience feedback, as they noticed that Rebecca looked like a normal girl, and they said that her clothing was very normal, and that it would be something that the audience watching might even wear. Overall, I feel like challenging this convention was beneficial for the trailer, as it showed a clear difference between the two characters through clothing, without stating that their mind was also completely different as well. Altogether, I feel like I have used, developed and challenged certain aspects of a teaser trailer as well as the horror genre to create a beneficial product overall. I feel like I can still improve on some aspects so that they can either fit more conventionally to the product, but I feel like the challenges of the genre and teaser trailer help me to make a product differentiate from others. Overall, I do believe I've portrayed aspects of a real media product within my own production.